Hi guys, how are you doing today? Ready for new stories? I have 6 today. Let's go to the first one. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. Okay, so I don't think this is as bad as the title makes it sound. My mother-in-law got engaged 6 years ago. She came over and my then 5-year-old was obsessed with the huge diamond ring. Mother-in-law is an idiot and took the ring off so my daughter could wear it. Well, I didn't know she gave it to her, and my daughter was ducking 5, so she lost it. I was beside myself, but mother-in-law said it wasn't a big deal, and she would make him buy her a new one. I told her I would find it, and literally tore the house apart, but I couldn't find it, and she didn't seem to care. I got an identical ring a few weeks later. They got married, and I forgot about it. Well, that was 6 years ago, and we are in the process of moving. We struggle financially and are going from a house to an apartment. I found the ring, and I felt like she clearly didn't need it and has an identical ring, so I sold it. I'm using the money to begin going back to school. My husband, for some reason, thought it would be a good idea to mention that to his mom, and she was pissed. She said it was her ring, and I had no right to sell it. I asked what she would have done with it. She paused for a moment, and she said she would have given it to her housekeeper. She then called her housekeeper into the room and told her that she had a diamond ring for her, but we'd stolen it. Money is absolutely nothing to her, so I don't get this reaction. The only thing I can think of is that she hates to see me happy. She was very against the marriage, and I think she has enjoyed feeling right because we've had so many issues. She kept it up until her husband got home from work, and he said he would buy her a 3rd ring if she would just shut up. Now I'm conflicted because I really didn't think she would care. Of course, OP is an a-hole. Even if she didn't need the ring, even if it was 6 years later, OP should have called to say she found it. Instead, OP got stars in her eyes and thought about how finding this ring could benefit her. OP's husband has a big mouth, and OP's mother-in-law sounds like a witch. OP is all the a-hole in this story. The only decent one is OP's daughter. My mother-in-law hates me, and as a result, we are very low contact with mother-in-law and father-in-law. She has been mean, girlish, and controlling from the start, and believes that it is just her right as a mother-in-law. We did get pregnant young and unmarried, and we needed them for financial support. But she took that as a license to act however she wanted. I could write novels about what she has done to me, but to be concise, she has been nothing but condescending and gossipy. If I had it my way, we wouldn't see her at all. But my husband is the only child and believes if he makes some token efforts, he will get something in the will. Mother-in-law is nice to my kids, 11 female and 9 male, when she sees them. If she was ever in any way abusive, she would not see them. But with that being said, she makes no effort to be close to them. Once she realized that I had boundaries, she lost interest in being a grandma pretty fast. The kids are aware of how she has treated me in the past. I wouldn't say they like her, but they enjoy occasionally seeing her and getting spoiled, so I let it go on. Mother-in-law had a big 50th birthday party over the weekend, and we chose to attend. My in-laws had an arranged marriage in another country. Mother-in-law was not happy about it, and father-in-law was uninterested in her. But as of right now, they are really happy. So he got her a gorgeous diamond ring as her gift to replace the engagement ring his mom picked out, and said something about how he knows she didn't have a choice, but she would be his now, and he wanted her to have something from him and not his mom, who majorly sucked. Now, for some context, mother-in-law is terrible with money. She has never worked, and father-in-law gives her a huge allowance. But she is always broke by the end of the month and whining. I'm just including this because she is careless with money, material things. She took the ring she was wearing off and handed it to my daughter and said since she is the only granddaughter, she can have it. This bothered me for a couple of reasons. 1, I don't want my kids having something from someone who is so openly disrespectful to me. 2, it doesn't seem fair to my son that he gets nothing because he is a boy. 3, that is a huge thing to give an 11-year-old without talking to the parents. I had my daughter give it back discreetly at the end of the party, and mother-in-law rolled her eyes. My daughter was very upset and would not talk to me in the car. My husband said I could have sold it and split the money with the kids' college fund, and he thinks I was a little dramatic, but will support me. I guess father-in-law was bad-mouthing me when I left and said I disrespected his wife, and I showed I am a petty little girl. I really don't know if I did the right thing. That money could have helped our kids in the future, and though it makes me kind of sick to think about, my daughter might have wanted it when she got married. My daughter is really upset, but I feel like mother-in-law hugely overstepped. Yes, the a-hole. If they're good enough to allow OP's kids around and treat her kids fine, then I don't see why OP is being so bitter. Not letting her daughter accept a gift because of her own issue is petty. And life isn't fair. I'm sure one day OP's son will get something her daughter won't. This boils down to OP being bitter. That's all. Like literally so bitter she wants to sell something given to her daughter because she doesn't like the person who gave it to her. OP should get help. So I, 37 male, have been married to my wife, 36 female, for just over a decade. We have 3 kids together, 1 daughter and 2 sons. She has a younger brother who's 31. Just weeks after I started dating his sister, he and I hit it off and became fast friends. Hunting, fishing, off-roading, etc. I think of him as my little brother. Anyway, when he was still in his early 20s, he ended up getting a girl pregnant. After getting pressured by both my in-laws as well as her family, he ended up marrying her. But it was a mistake. He never loved her. He was never all that into her. They just got together one night out of boredom and ended up producing a child. But as far as both families were concerned, that was it. They needed to get married and start and maintain a family. His ex was actually fine with it, but he wasn't. I think she loved him, but he never loved her. He loved the son they had together, but not her. But my wife absolutely loved her and thought that she was the best thing that ever happened to her younger brother. Anyway, he ended up having an affair with his now fiancée. It was wrong, obviously, but he was just so unhappy, and according to what he told me, he felt so trapped. Eventually, once the affair was found out, it led to the end of his marriage. Fast forward a couple of years, and now he is getting married to the other woman. They've asked my wife and me to be a bridesmaid and groomsman. My wife has categorically refused. She says that she refuses to endorse their relationship that started out under bad circumstances and refuses to send the message to her nephew that she thinks it's okay that his father cheated on his mom. My wife wants me to also boycott the wedding, but I won't. I've told my brother-in-law and good friend that I will absolutely be in his wedding, whether my wife is there or not. I know that what he did to his ex was wrong, but they never should have been married in the first place. And he's my friend, and I want him to be happy, and I know he is with his current fiancée. Am I an a-hole? Not an a-hole. I can understand OP's wife's stance on this. OP says he's my friend and I want him to be happy. And she feels the same way about her ex-sister-in-law and her nephew, whom OP's brother-in-law made very sad. I can understand OP's stance too, and it's probably the one I'd take. Bygones and all that. But I think OP needs to ask himself whether he's prepared for the permanent breach it may cause with his wife. If there's a way to handle this more sensitively, OP should pursue it. OP owes his wife understanding as well as his brother-in-law. So I, female 24, and my twin sister, Kay, are insanely close, and we have been since we were born. My twin sister's best friend, L, female 25, has been jealous of me our entire childhoods. She's always been competitive and trying to one-up me in how much we know Kay. I don't really care for her, and my sister and I are best friends, but she just cannot accept that. Kay got married last weekend, and I was the only bridesmaid. There was one groomsman too, and that was Kay's husband's brother. They are as close as we are too, so it makes sense. And they wanted it to be special, so it was only one groomsman and bridesmaid each, the siblings of the groom and bride. Elle threw a bit of a crying fit, wore white to the wedding, and basically sulked until her eye caught one of the groom's cousins, and she basically tongue-ducked him the entire wedding. When my sister threw her bouquet, I was in the middle of the crowd and managed to catch it. It was a pretty joyous occasion, minus Elle's crying, but Kay was angry at her for reacting that way, so she didn't let it bother her. Elle cornered me during the reception and got upsetter, if it's possible to get more upset and angry than she was during the wedding, and told me I stole her best friend, her bridesmaid spot, and her spotlight, and the least I could do is let her catch the bouquet. I told her it was just luck, and she broke down crying and muttering curses at me for stealing her best friend until Kay's husband's cousin, the one she was consuming during the wedding, dragged her away. My mother, who's been particularly fond of Elle and disagreed with Kay's choice to only have one bridesmaid, told both of us we were picking on Elle and should be joyous of Kay's special day. Kay feels bad now, but I'm not sure. Am I an a-hole? So, some common questions I'll be answering. Why is Kay still friends with Elle? Throughout their entire friendship, Elle was a good friend to Kay and was kind to her. She was just a massive B to others. What was my mother thinking? Both my mother and Elle are extremely similar, and they get along well and enjoy each other's company. My mother always takes Elle's side, and she wanted a big wedding bash anyways. So did Elle. Not an a-hole. That girl is a jealous mess, and OP does not owe her anything. So, my husband has a bad habit of always getting me stuff I don't like. I'll try to keep it short and not go into too many details. For example, for our anniversary present, he asked me what I wanted. For the record, we always spend hundreds of dollars on each other for special events like B-days, Christmas, anniversary, etc., and have no problems affording it. I showed him a few different types of necklaces I like. Specifically, I didn't want anything too colorful or big and flashy, just a small simple silver diamond one, and that a small purple or blue gem is okay in it. He knows I hate gold. So he got me a gold necklace with some sort of giant gold coin and multicolored gems. Another time, he asked me for ideas for my birthday, and I told him I'd like a nice tea or bath set mostly, and a nice dinner. He decided not to go for dinner and got me a pink iPad. I don't use electronics hardly at all, and I hate pink, which he knows. He's booked us tickets for rock concerts before his birthday presents. I have a sensory disorder and can't handle loud noises, etc. Those are just bigger things. He'll get me foods I hate or am allergic to regularly. We have had conversations about many of these things multiple times. Well, I finally snapped yesterday. I've been sick and asked him to grab me some soup from the store. I told him just get something soft and easy to swallow because it's hard to eat, just to do something basic like tomato soup or chicken noodle. He got me beef stew and lobster bisque. I'm allergic to all types of fish and shellfish and don't really eat meat at all. Not to mention, those are both chunky and not something I can handle eating. He's done similar things several times in the past few weeks. Well, I ended up snapping because I was already getting frustrated, and being so sick had me on edge more than usual. I told him we've been together almost 10 years. Does he seriously not know anything about me by now, or does he just not care? Does he not listen to a single word I say ever? How can he get things so horribly wrong every single time I ask any little thing of him, etc.? Of course, he didn't take it well and got mad and called me spoiled and ungrateful, and said I didn't need to be such a bee over a small mistake. But he makes this mistake constantly. He rarely ever gets me the right thing. It's almost always stuff I hate or am allergic to. I complained to my mom about it, and she said I was being too harsh, and that's just how men are. I can't expect him to get things right, and at least he's making an effort. And now I'm wondering if I'm being too mean and should just appreciate him getting me anything, even if I can't eat or don't like or whatever it. Am I an a-hole here? OP is not an a-hole, and OP's mom is full of nonsense for defending him over it. What he's doing could actually be a form of abuse. If he constantly gets OP things that he knows she hates or are allergic to, at some point it's deliberate. This is different than just not putting thought into a gift. I would recommend marriage counseling, but from what I'm reading, it just sounds like the two aren't compatible. especially if he's not willing to realize he's the problem and change. My 42 female family is from East Asia. My parents moved to the U.S. before I was born, and I was born in the U.S., but we went back to their home country, and I would spend every summer there, so I identify strongly with the culture. In my grandmother's village, it is traditional to get your children a gold necklace with their zodiac animal and a gift on their 18th birthday. I believe it is a beautiful tradition, so for the birth of my children, 18 female, 14 female, we take a trip back to my grandmother's village so that family can meet my babies and we can buy a necklace from the local jeweler. My husband, 45 male, is born and raised in America and white, but he's always been very supportive of my desire to teach our children my culture, but mother-in-law has taken great offense. Her stance is that because we are in America, our children should only speak English, do American things, i.e., extracurriculars such as soccer or swimming, instead of their traditional dance and instrument lessons, which I have offered to stop if they don't like it, but they say they want to continue. Mother-in-law knows about the necklaces and has always known about my intention to gift the necklaces to my daughters on their 18th birthdays. She hates the tradition and calls it tacky and imperialist. The oldest turned 18 last week, and we had a COVID-appropriate celebration over Zoom with almost all our friends and families. I say almost because as I opened the garage to park my car a half hour before the party, mother-in-law and father-in-law appeared out of nowhere, walked into the garage and into the house. Once in the house, mother-in-law thrusts a gift into my daughter's hands and insists she opened it first on Zoom. Daughter opens it, and lo and behold, there is an enormous 5-carat diamond necklace with pearls and a platinum chain. On the back of the setting was an engraving of some kind of lion. Mother-in-law proudly proclaims on the Zoom call that her ancestors are Scottish, and it is tradition to give brides pearls on their wedding days. So mother-in-law decided to gift this necklace to my daughter now instead, to make a new tradition in the family. The seal on the back, she claims that after research on ancestry, is her family clan's seal. I got a little teary-eyed because the necklace was definitely beautiful. I held it in, gave my daughter her gift, then excused myself to the next room. Mother-in-law followed me and told me that this tradition was more appropriate for America, and that this would be the new family tradition because I married into the family, not the other way around. After the party, I told my husband that I refused to see her anymore. He is understanding, but hesitant, as it is his mother, and does not want to create drama. I told him to grow a spine, because I feel like this was to spite me. I called mother-in-law to tell her the news, and she flew into a fury, screaming at me that I can't take away her baby's identity. Am I an a-hole? Not an a-hole. Oh my God! OP's mother-in-law is a B. She is R, and it looks like she doesn't give a damn about OP's religion or her cultural beliefs. It is totally understandable that OP does not want to engage in conversation with her, because she broke a long-standing tradition in spite of OP giving something to her daughter. OP's mother-in-law needs to realize that these are not her babies and are her grandchildren, in which she cannot make such big parenting decisions and breaking family traditions, etc. OP's husband seems like a nice and supporting person, so they both can get through this together.